In the quiet compound of her husband's family house in a peaceful town in southwestern Nigeria, Christmas morning was already alive with preparations. The scent as onions and pepper filled the air as she stirred a large pot of jollof rice. Hannah had been awake since 5 a.m. Her feet were swollen and her back ached under the weight of her 7-month pregnancy. Still, she worked silently, cutting vegetables, seasoning chicken, arranging plates, and setting trays of food that would feed nearly 20 guests expected that afternoon. The house belonged to her mother-in-law, Sylvia, a proud woman known in the town for her sharp tongue and strict rules. Hannah wiped sweat from her forehead and gently held her lower back. "Just a little longer," she whispered to the baby in her womb. She had never told her husband's family the truth about her background. To them, she was simply an orphan who had grown up quietly in Lagos and worked hard to build her life. Only one person knew the truth, her father, but she had always believed humility would make her marriage peaceful. She was wrong. By noon, the house was full of laughter and loud conversation. David's colleagues from the local law firm had arrived, dressed in bright Christmas clothes. The living room echoed with clinking glasses and cheerful greetings. Meanwhile, Hannah remained in the kitchen. Her feet trembled as she carried a heavy tray of fried chicken into the dining room. Just as she placed it down, a sharp pain shot through her back. She grabbed the edge of the table. "David," she whispered weakly, "my back hurts. Can I sit down for a few minutes?" Before David could respond, Sylvia slammed her palm against the table so loudly that the entire room fell silent. "Sit down," she said coldly. Her eyes swept across the guests before returning to Hannah. "Servants don't sit with the family." The words cut through the room like a blade. "You will eat in the kitchen after everyone finishes," Sylvia continued, standing up. "That is how discipline is learned." Hannah felt the humiliation burn through her chest, but she kept quiet. She slowly looked toward her husband. David lifted his glass of wine and took a slow sip. "Listen to my mother, Hannah," he said casually. "Don't embarrass me in front of my colleagues." A deep cramp suddenly twisted inside her stomach. She gasped, "David, it hurts." Her hand pressed against her belly as another wave of pain rushed through her body. The room grew quiet again. But Sylvia only frowned. "Oh, please," she scoffed, "always pretending to be weak when there is work to do." Hannah staggered toward the kitchen, breathing heavily. Sylvia followed her. The moment they entered the kitchen, Sylvia's voice turned sharp. "You think pregnancy makes you special?" she snapped. "Women in this family worked in the farms while pregnant." Hannah leaned against the counter. "I just need to sit down for a moment." Sylvia's face twisted with anger. Faking it again to escape work? Before Hannah could react, Sylvia shoved her with both hands. The push was violent. Hannah fell backward. Her lower back slammed hard against the granite countertop. Pain exploded through her body. She slid to the floor. A warm liquid spread beneath her. Hannah looked down. Bright red blood stained the white kitchen tiles. Her breath caught in her throat. "My baby," she whispered weakly. David rushed into the kitchen after hearing the noise. He looked down at the floor, at the blood, but instead of panic, irritation crossed his face. "My God, Hannah," he muttered, "you always leave everything in a mess." Hannah stared in disbelief. "I'm losing the baby," she cried weakly. "Call an ambulance." "No," David snapped. He grabbed her phone from the counter and smashed it against the wall. The phone shattered into pieces. "No ambulance," he said firmly. "The neighbors will start talking. I just became partner in my firm. I won't have a scandal in my house." Hannah felt cold fear wash through her body. "Please, David." Instead of helping her, he crouched down and grabbed her hair, pulling her head back so she had to look at him. "Listen carefully," he whispered harshly. "I am a lawyer. I play golf with the police commissioner. If you accuse anyone here of anything, I'll have you locked in a psychiatric hospital." His eyes were full of arrogance. "You're an orphan," he continued. "Who is going to believe you?" Hannah looked at him quietly. For the first time that day, she did not look afraid. She looked calm, very calm. Her voice was soft. "Then call my father." David blinked. "Your father," he laughed loudly. "The orphan suddenly remembers she has family?" He pulled out his phone with a mocking grin. "Fine, let's call this mysterious father." Hannah slowly recited the number. David dialed and placed the phone on speaker so everyone in the dining room could hear. The phone rang twice. Then a deep, composed voice answered. "Hello?" David smirked. "Good afternoon. I believe you are Hannah's father." "Yes." David leaned casually against the counter. "Well, sir, your daughter is creating a dramatic scene in my house. Perhaps you should teach her some discipline." There was a brief pause on the line. Then the voice spoke again, slow, measured, cold. "This is Justice Emmanuel Adeyemi, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria." The room froze. David's face vanished instantly. The phone slipped slightly in his hand. Hannah slowly lifted herself against the counter, her face pale but steady. Her father continued speaking. "I have already traced this call location." His voice remained calm, but it carried enormous authority. "An ambulance and police escort are already on the way." Silence filled the house. David's face turned ghost white. In the dining room, his colleagues stared at him in disbelief. Justice Adeyemi spoke again. "And, Barrister Okafor," David's hands began shaking, "if a single scratch appears on my daughter or my grandchild because of you or anyone in that house," his voice dropped to a dangerous whisper, "you will never practice law in this country again." Outside, faint sirens began echoing through the quiet Christmas streets of the town. Hannah closed her eyes as tears slipped down her cheeks, not from fear, but from relief. For years, she had stayed silent to keep peace. But sometimes silence protects cruelty, and sometimes truth arrives just in time.